Have you ever been given this feedback that you must look at the bigger picture or to consider a whole company perspective or to think or communicate more strategically, but then you don't know where to start? Then this is for you. My name is Rajiv Upadhyay. I'm an executive coach, and I work with successful IT leaders to help them become more strategic in their thinking, communication, to build their executive presence in Gravitas. Now, consider this situation. You have a you have been given an opportunity to make a presentation to the C-suite leaders within your organization. This is something from your domain, so from your expertise. You have done it many times, and that's why it's a great opportunity for you to create visibility for yourself with this presentation, and you're quite comfortable with it. On the day of the presentation, you walk into the conference room and you are feeling a little anxious, but at the same time feeling good and confident. No sooner do you start the presentation that one of the senior leaders interrupts you and asks you to skip the first few slides and start off with a specific one. You get a little rattled, and from that point onward, the presentation, everything starts to go downhill. Even the Q&A session doesn't go down very well. Even though you knew the answers, but the way that you were presenting them or answering them was not making sense, even to you, forget about your audiences. At the end, as you are exiting the conference room, you ask yourself, what went wrong? I mean, you know your subject, you have been recognized and applauded for the work that you have put in, you have been rewarded with promotions, and you have established yourself for your strong leadership. Then how come this happened? What changed? Well, every leader reaches a point in their career when how success is defined in their role changes. And even the stakeholder expectations, they change. And in those moments, given all your experience and expertise being equal to all your peers, the only thing that differentiates you from the others is your executive presence, your ability to speak and think strategically. Now, most leaders, they fail to observe this shift as they are moving into a strategic role. And they continue to look at their new roles more from functional perspective. And that's where they undermine their credibility that costs them dearly in their career prospects in the long run. There is some research from Harvard Business School and Hedrick and Struggles that says that the failure rate of leaders moving or transitioning into strategic roles is almost 40% in the first 18 months. Now, transitioning to a strategic role is considered to be one of the more difficult ones. And it's not that these leaders do not get support or feedback from their organizations. They do. But here's the problem with executive presence. You know it when you see it, but it's a little difficult to put a finger on what those leaders who have executive presence, what are they doing to get it? Now, in the absence of a clear, structured approach to building executive presence, any advice, even well-intentioned, falls flat. And sometimes it does worse. Why? Because people give advice in terms of dressing and grooming or just making great presentations, which really doesn't help. And usually what happens is that leaders, they start to build myths and misconceptions about what executive presence is. One of the more popular ones is that it's charisma. It's something that you are born with and that either you have it or you don't have it. There's any kind of coaching or training doesn't help. Second is that, I don't need executive presence. Why? Because I've been doing something right so far that has made me successful. And if I continue to do the same thing, it will give me success even in the future. And the third, since I know someone who has executive presence, and if I were to just copy them or to model their behaviors, I'm sure I will get it. Well, none of these myths are actually true. Let's take the first one. Now, there's enough data to prove that executive presence is a set of behaviors anyone can practice and get it. So it has got nothing to do with genetics. It's got nothing to do with inborn traits. It is a learned capability. And there's enough evidence to back it up. And the second one, I don't need it. I've done something right in the past, so I'll continue to do the same. Now, there is a globally recognized, one of the top coaches, Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, who has written a book called What Got You Here Won't Take You There. And this probably answers it best. What that book says is that all those skills that have helped you to get to whichever level of leadership that you have come today, the same skills are not going to take you to the next level. In fact, some of those skills are actually going to come in the way of you going to the next level. And the third one, that if you were to copy somebody, well, it is almost like somebody coming and saying, Rajiv, I think I seem to have a problem with my eyes. I can't see clearly. And I say, oh, really? Okay, here are my glasses. I also had a similar problem some time back. And I started using these glasses and they have helped me. I'm sure they will help you too. But unfortunately, it doesn't work. There's no cookie cutter solution to executive presence. Each leader has got its own unique path to mastering their executive presence. So if it all sounds familiar to you, and if it makes sense to you, then you may want to stick around for a few more minutes, because I'm about to share a model with you that many leaders in the past have successfully used to define their brand of executive presence that comes across as confident, authentic, and articulate to their stakeholders. And it gives them the conviction to stand their ground and back their proposals with conviction while connecting with their stakeholders in a deeply meaningful way. So as a coach, I've been helping many leaders over the past 2 decades who found themselves to be in a similar situation. And over the years, I have refined a highly effective framework of mastering executive presence that gives you practical strategies that you can start to implement right away. It is a no-nonsense structured approach that takes away all the ambiguity and provides you with a clear working strategy and implementable insights that can be replicated over and over again as you become more and more proficient in the way that you use these framework and tools. So this one-on-one coaching program of how to master executive presence is specially designed for IT leaders who are transitioning into more strategic roles. This is for aspiring leaders who want to create more visibility for themselves, who, when they walk into a room, they command the room. They want to be able to influence their stakeholders in a meaningful way. And they want to see their proposals and recommendations being implemented more often. So what results can you expect out of this program? Well, if I were to summarize them into 3 points, the first one would be that you'll be able to hold your own with conviction in front of very senior leaders, probably 2 or 3 level above you, and be able to present your proposals and recommendations with confidence. Number 2, you'll be able to land on point every single time communicating your insights, and they will make perfect sense even to your non-technical audiences. You will have the ability to break down complexity into manageable chunks and be able to make your recommendations even in the most uncertain situations. Now, all in all, because of this, you will find your influence expanding beyond your functional domain. You will find that people are seeking you out for advice, for your inputs and insights on issues that are outside of your functional domain and which are of critical importance to the organization. And after this program, you'll be equipped with a powerful toolkit of frameworks and models that is used by the top consultants of the consulting organizations for clarifying their thinking and communicating with impact. In my opinion, one of the best things that you'll take away from this program is that you'll become habitual in using models and frameworks for decision making, for sorting out through your options and clarifying your thinking, for structuring your communication so that it makes sense to people. And this will be for any situation. It could be a presentation, it could be a meeting, or it could be an impromptu conversation, a one-on-one with somebody very influential and a mover or shaker of the organization. Now, all in all, what you can expect to take away is that you will never be at a loss of word in front of a strategic audience, where you will talk the language that they expect you to speak. And at the same time, you will always come across as calm and confident and ever ready in any given situation. Now, equipped with this mindset, skill sets, and tool sets, you will never have to worry about being at a loss of words in any communication situation. You'll never have to have that feeling of self-doubt, whether you will be able to answer a question in a meeting or not and embarrass yourself. You will never have to worry about losing credibility in front of your key stakeholders. And you'll never have to worry about being sidelined for key projects and key decisions within the organization. And lastly, you will never have to worry about not being visible to those people who matter the most to you. The best part of this program is that we are going to customize it to your specific situation. We will start off by diagnosing what your strengths and weaknesses are. What are your assets and liabilities? What are some of the assets that can be leveraged more? And what are some of the liabilities or weaknesses that we could do by managing them? What are your critical 20% areas which we can focus on to get the maximum output for the least amount of effort and the fastest results by working on them? So here's the deal. If this content resonates with you, and if you believe that this is meant for you, you could get on a 1-hour call with me to find out more about how you can benefit from this program on mastering your executive presence. So if you are a leader working in the IT industry, and if you're the kind of person who has to interact regularly with senior leaders to convince them, to influence them, and persuade them to have your proposals implemented, to have them take you seriously and have credibility, then this is one call that could set the wheels turning and put you on the path to transformation right now. And all you have to do is to take the first step. Now, many a times when things are not going your way and when the odds are stacked against you, we falsely believe that those people who get the break are the lucky ones. But the fact is, the only difference between people who get the lucky breaks and the ones who don't is the number of times that they are willing to try. So the faster you take action, the faster you can get results, and the faster you can decide whether it is for you or not. Now, I know that you were not looking out for this video, and I know that you probably stumbled across my message. But like they say, that opportunity knocks at the most unexpected times. And the key is in recognizing that opportunity and taking action. And one of the qualities of a strategic leader is that they recognize opportunities and they trust their gut and take fast decisions. So when I was starting off in this field many years ago, my coach at the time and who became my mentor eventually, he said something that has a huge impact on my life. He said that, Rajiv, you are going to be somewhere in 5 to 10 years' time. The question is, are you going to be where you want to be, or are you going to be somewhere where you were just taken by the circumstances? And the difference could be the one step that you take right now. So that hit me hard. And that day, I chose to make a decision in favor of action. But let me tell you, I've never regretted that decision. In fact, so many times I've thought, what if I had not taken a decision on that day? I don't know how my life would have turned out. Since that day, I have always advocated having an action bias. And that is the reason I believe that this opportunity could be the one for you. So I hope you will make the right choice for your great future and an exponential career growth. So book your call now, click the button below and reserve your one-on-one slot with me. See you in the call.